Max Q, the point of maximum dynamic pressure on a rocket as it fires up into space. Why did I call the show that? Because it sounds cool? What's up, Earth? Welcome to the very first episode of Max Q here on Taxi to Mars. As you may or may not know, I'm a London taxi driver, and to get this job you spend years memorising every street in London. Sat-nav's allowed? Fun fact, it's actually been proven that it makes part of the cabbie's brain, the hippocampus, the part responsible for memory, physically bigger than the normal population.
Check out the big brain on bread.
Hi baby, you ever been with a man with a large hippocampus? Anyway, look, there's loads of brilliant space channels out there, all promising to make space simple for the average person. Then you ask one question and you're 40 minutes into a full flow stage Methalox Engines documentary. So here's the deal with this show. If it matters, we cover it. If it doesn't, we move on. It's the stories I actually think are worth digging into. That's Max Q, the stuff putting the most pressure on the space industry and the people in it. This week, that's meant a lot of focus on jobs. Who's hiring, what's changing, and why that may matter more than you think. Let's get into it. Right, Starship Flight 12, the big V3 debut. May 22nd. Ship did decent, booster not so much. It's a test flight. These things happen, and there she goes through the clouds. And look at the bottom left, 1,454 kilometers an hour. That is some impact. The FAA, they called it a mishap, and that's forcing SpaceX to run a full investigation, and the FAA will oversee every step of that. No Flight 13 until this is signed off. Classic regulatory traffic at the worst possible moment. And it's the worst possible moment because SpaceX is gearing up for a monster IPO. $135 a share, aiming to raise around $75 billion. What that brings is more eyes and pressure on SpaceX than ever before. The cat's out the bag. The largest public offering in history. It's something I found very interesting. Take a look at this. $135 share price in Brian valuation 1.77 trillion. Number in geographical terms is the equivalent to the entire annual GDP of Australia. It's huge. And here's the problem with the mishap investigation. When tests get delayed, paperwork doesn't just slow launches, it adds investor scrutiny right at the time when the company's going public. And momentum is everything on the road to Mars. We've been stopped so many times with, problems with the pad, problems with the infrastructure, having to rebuild things, rapid unscheduled disassemblies, destroying infrastructure. What SpaceX really needs now is momentum. And if you combine the mishap investigation with the issues with the booster with Flight 12, plus now you've got the IPO coming up, it's all adding up. So these two stories are connected. The FAA delay, it's not just a technical headache, it's happening at the worst possible time commercially. And that's the bigger picture. So switching lanes for a minute, NASA has announced Artemis III and the crew. Commander Randy Bresnik, the European Space Agency's Luca Parmitano as a pilot, plus Andre Douglas and Frank Rubio, a very solid, very experienced team. And NASA, production values going through the roof, have released a fantastic trailer for Artemis III. Take a look. Beautiful. Love the production quality on that. Congrats to NASA getting us all hyped. They've really had a resurgence. I mean, the last couple of years they seem to have really moved to the forefront more, and I'm loving it. I'm loving the fact that NASA's actually acting like NASA, flexing that muscle. I mean, they're the guys that started it all. The real story underneath this, though, late 2027 for this launch, just over a year away. Orion's supposed to rendezvous in Earth orbit with both the SpaceX human landing system and the Blue Origin Blue Moon landing system. Bear in mind, we've just seen SpaceX smack their booster into the Gulf of Mexico at 1400 kilometers per hour. And if you want to know what's happening with Blue Origin, it's this. Yeah, it'll buff out. That anomaly could point to a fundamental flaw in New Glenn's design. And remember, New Glenn isn't just a rocket for them. It's their only heavy lift rocket. There's no backup architecture. So if there genuinely is a design flaw, on top of, not even having a launch pad right now, with 14 months to go until the Artemis launch, that's a serious problem. So right when NASA's making this big and beautiful confident crew announcement, neither company, SpaceX or Blue Origin, are anywhere near having the hardware tested and ready to actually rendezvous with that Orion capsule. So what do you reckon? 14 months, it's really not long. Who's rendezvousing with Orion? Will it be Starship Human Landing System, HLS? Will it be Blue Origin's Blue Moon? Will it be both of them? Or would it be neither? I'll be really interested to find out in the comments. Now, last story, and honestly, this is the one I care about the most. It's going to play you a little clip.
So what do you think the solution is to the jobs that are going to be lost because of AI and robotics? The jobs due to automation, the jobs due to no longer do we need human beings to do these jobs because AI is doing them?
I think there will be actually a high demand for jobs, but not necessarily the same jobs. Like AI is the supersonic tsunami.
It's like, what other jobs will be available that aren't available now because of AI?
Well, AI is really still digital. Ultimately, AI can improve the productivity of humans who build things with their hands or do things with their hands, like literally welding, electrical work, plumbing, anything that's physically moving atoms. Like cooking food or farming or like anything that's physical, those jobs will exist for a much longer time. But anything that is digital, which is like just someone at a computer doing something, AI is going to take over those jobs like lightning.
There it is. AI is going to replace a lot of office jobs, anything that's moving files, pushing data, but hands-on trades, welding, building, manufacturing, engineering, those are much harder for AI to take over, and they've got a much longer lifespan. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Let me show you something. So here we go. Look, this is the SpaceX careers page. Leave SpaceX and then tab down to careers or jobs. Look at this. There are literally hundreds. Open roles, manufacturing, build engineering, mechanical engineering, especially at Starbase in Texas or McGregor, even Hawthorne, California. We've got Vandenberg, California. We've got Bastrop in Texas, Cape Canaveral, Florida. Don't forget there's 2 launch pads for Starship coming online within the next 12 months there as well. The demand for these types of roles, engineering, building, is just through the roof. And Elon's told you himself, that's what he's talking about. The future's not abstract. They're already hiring for this stuff. And look, if you're watching this and you're not sure what to do, or what you want to do, maybe university feels like that it's not right for you, that's absolutely fine. There's always been a demand for tradespeople though. I remember my dad telling me in the late 80s and the early 90s to learn a trade, and he was right, and that was 30 years ago, and he's still right. Going down that route, it's not a step backwards in any way, it's actually the opposite. What you're doing is you're future-proofing yourself, you're making yourself valuable, and honestly, that's not a bad thing to aim for in life, being valuable. It's what Elon always says, having a skill that people actually need. And you've heard it from the horse's mouth. Those jobs are going to last a hell of a lot longer, and those skills are going to be needed. And not only that, within an industry where you can work on some of the most exciting projects in the world, have a skill that people actually are going to be needing and are crying out for in the future. Right, one quick word before I go. This is episode 1. I don't know if this show's going to work yet, and I'll be honest, that reminds me a lot of doing the Knowledge of London. When you start the knowledge, there's no guarantee you'll ever finish it. About 3/4 of the people that start, they actually don't. Some of them get 2-3 years in and then decide it's not for them and they quit, the poor souls. but it's brutal. You just don't know going in whether you've got it or not. But here's the thing, you don't need to know. You just need to turn up, do a little bit more than yesterday, and trust that you're building something even if you can't see it yet. That's this channel, and honestly, that's life as well. So especially if you're young and you've got no idea what you want to do, you don't need to have the answer today. Go out and try stuff. You'll figure out what you're good at by going out and doing it, not by waiting until you're sure. So genuinely, what did you want more of this week? More stories like this? More of the jobs or careers stuff? Let me know, because this show's only going to get better if I know what is actually landing. Same time next week, I'll have gone through everything that's happened, picked out what I actually think matters, and we'll do this again. Cheers for riding along for the very first Max Q. Stay safe, Godspeed, and be lucky.